Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome to ETH Talk, your weekly look at the market in ETH Online. Now, if you're still watching this on Saturday, I would say don't forget it's gonna be the 07 show on Sunday, August 14th. So hopefully we'll have some information on the industrial arrays during that 07 show. But they usually, or at least in the past, they were usually done on weekdays, and this one is actually on a Sunday. So I would say try to check that one out. I will definitely try to do so myself. You are here for the market, of course, so we'll jump right in here with some plex at 40 seconds. Writing that down. And you may already have spotted it from the bar at the bottom. Plex are continuing their ascent. They are now at 1048 million ISK. So definitely went up a little bit, and it's clearly a breaking of the trend on the chart here as well, as the 5-day moving average shoots up to a billion ISK basically on the chart, and is still going to be on its way up, so it still needs to catch up to what's actually happening at the moment. 20-day moving average also moving up quite nicely, which means that in all likeliness we will have had a bottom in May, June, something like that, at around 850 million ISK. So 900 million ISK for your purchases, which has been possible for like around 2 months during the summer. Has probably been a good idea if you jumped in on some of that, and I definitely did. So looks like my Plex investment may end up being a good one. Of course, we'll need to see if this trend continues, but seeing this first strong push up in August, I think gives us a good chance of Plex going pretty damn high in the winter. Keep in mind, right here you can see at the start of the chart, 1.2 billion is definitely something that is possible. So from 900 million to 1.2 billion is like 30% increase. Not bad at all. Something that I'm personally shooting for my own Plex investments before I sell. Next up, the multiple pilot training certificate, hesitating a little bit at the tail end here. So this is interesting. It is on pretty high volumes here all of a sudden as well. So apparently some people have been buying up some training certificates. They're currently selling for 1061 million ISK, so 1,061 million ISK. The buyers are at 935 million ISK. Maybe I should quickly check on the buyers for Plex. Yeah, 989 million ISK. So the days of buying Plexes for 900 million ISK, those seem to be gone. We're almost at 1 billion for the buyers as well. The multiple pilot training certificates, a bit more margin in between the two, so slightly higher for the sellers, slightly higher for the buyers, but of course the volumes are the big difference here. I would probably say 50 to 60 have been bought like a day ago, but that is an extremely high volume. So in general we have maybe 20 to 30 of these training certificates being bought and sold. Still the very strong correlation between the multiple pilot training certificates and the plexes does show up on this chart, of course. The slight hesitation here, we'll see if this actually breaks the 20-day moving average trend going up, then we will have to see if Plex shows something like that as well. But at the moment, very strong surge up in the plexes. The body resculpt next, after going up pretty damn quickly from, let me see here, 220 million to 300 million ISK. Bit of a pullback, but still holding just below 280 million ISK on the chart. Very interestingly here, we actually have a day where none of these were sold, and now volumes are up a little bit as the price went up, which is interesting. I'm guessing that more people are actually bringing them to the market, trying to get them sold now that they're a little bit higher. And here we don't have a lot of them on the market, going for 287 million ISK for the sellers, 260 million ISK someone is willing to buy them at a pretty high price, and as a result here volumes going up, price on average actually on the high side at the moment. It could be people again investing into these resculpts, expecting newer players to maybe come in later during like the winter or something like that, and thus having them ready to go higher and then to sell them. Next up, the skill extractors. This could be interesting. We are finally reaching a 6-month chart on this one, and now you can clearly see the very strong correlation between the skill extractors and the plexes. If we look at these two charts, they're pretty much a mirror of one another, with the bottom May, June, something like that, close to 200 million, now going up to 240 million on the chart. The sellers are at 243 million, almost 244. In fact, that's only one of them. The next set are being sold at 246 million ISK, and the buyers are at 226 million ISK for skill extractors. So very, very strong correlation between the extractors and the plexes. Let's see what the skill injectors are doing. They're bouncing back a little bit from 590 million ISK. So I said last week, I think when we were pretty close to 600 million, that I think it could be a pretty good investment to buy some of those. We did bounce up a little bit, but I think it's too early to say if skill injectors are going to continue their increase at the same pace as plexes and the skill extractors. They should, of course. Skill extractors are part of the cost of skill injectors, but it may also be that there's so much SP still floating around that that the skill injectors will not go up in price as quickly. And if that is the case, then we could see a bit of a delay between skill injectors and the plex increase in price, just giving you a good chance at still making an investment in plex related items if that's what you want to do. We could maybe also quickly check on the volumes. This is obviously going down from the huge numbers we saw when it first came out. We still do have people coming in with 20 and 34 of them at 620 million ISK in the last 24 hours. A decent amount of sell orders, but the volumes are obviously down. When it comes to the skill extractors, this is obviously pretty damn crazy. We're still going for like 2 front pages of new sell orders, including 163, 274, 293, 237. So considering these huge volumes, a lot of them are being sold every day as well. 5,000 units being traded. Skill injectors also around 5,000 units being traded every day. Honestly, these smaller volumes here should indicate an increase in price for skill injectors as well. And I'm still actually surprised that we have buy orders below 600 million, which I think means that you can still try to pick them up for 590, 595, something like that. Buying skill injectors below 600 million, if I look at the volumes here and then the volumes here, which indicates that there's actually going to be a bit of a drying up compared to the amount of skill injectors that is traded every day. I think it could still be a pretty good idea. I would do it were it not that I'm personally trying to stack up some plex in preparations for the industrial arrays. Next up, minerals, 745. There we go. Let's take a look at these. Titanium, you may already have spotted that from the bottom bar. Jumped up a little bit after reaching its 6-month low of 5.6 ISK once again on higher volume. So I think that this is position taking as I'm expecting, or as it is something that I would do myself. In titanium, I'm not buying any titanium myself. I'm mining plenty of that to actually build up pretty big stocks, even if I use my own minerals for some production. Mined minerals are free, right? Well, they're not. It costs time, but yeah, titanium bouncing back up, but hesitating at the 5.7 ISK mark on the chart here. So I think that we're actually in for another leg down. 20-day moving average clearly still going down. So I think that's in the cards. 538 for the buyers. So obviously, if you want to buy titanium at like 5.4 to 5.5 ISK, you've got a really good chance to do so. 595 for the sellers. Basically, someone did buy a huge amount of titanium as an investment for the future, causing the seller price to go up substantially. But you can now see that the buyers are still at 5.4 ISK, and new supply here, 250 million, 400 million, a billion units being sold right here below 6 ISK. It's not what I would recommend, it's not what I would do, but there's of course people and groups that mine so much that need the liquid ISK that the supply is still pretty strong, and thus I think will actually go even lower on the chart at this point already. It will be a very small bounce from 5.6 to 5.7 ISK on the chart, and I actually think that this will get squashed quite quickly with new sell orders coming in. Let's take a look at pyrite. That was also at like a 6-month low last week. Also bouncing back up a little bit on big volumes. Maybe a slight influence from the EVE talk, because last week I did clearly say that I would start to stock up on my minerals or even buy some of them if they're extremely low. And obviously pyrite here that reached 9 ISK was low enough to start investing, so we have some slightly higher volumes coming in on this, and we're going back up to 9.4 ISK on the chart, 9.5 for the sellers, 907 for the buyers. It's only one buy order though, the next one is at 895. So the buyers still trying to push pyrite below 9 ISK. When it comes to new sell orders, there are some of them coming in, but 300 million is here. Then we get 40 million, 40 million, 80 million, something like that. When it comes for the buyers, we get 40 million, 70 million, 300 million, 400 million here. So it's much more balanced than the picture we saw in the last few months as the price continued to go down. And we should maybe quickly touch on that for titanium as well. So we've got 1 billion here, 4 million here for the buyers though, 2 billion here, 900 million here, almost 1 billion here again, 2 billion, 2 billion. So as I've said, once we go to 5.2, 5.3, 5.4 ISK, people are willing to buy huge stocks of titanium as an investment position, which to me makes sense. And if you still want to try to pick some up at like 5.4, 5.42, I think you'll actually be able to do so as long as you don't go completely overboard with the volumes. So despite this seemingly high demand in volumes here, they are at good prices, at low prices, and as a result, I think that basically an investor willing to pony up a lot of ISK straight away, going for the sell orders, causes this uptick here in the price. But the buyers are still trying to pick up their cheap titanium at the same ranges, and thus the higher volumes here don't necessarily indicate an increase in price is in the books. So pyrite also going up a little bit, and here a much more balanced picture. So I actually think that a 9.4 trade, maybe 9.2 to 9.6 trade range, but closer to 9.4 is a possibility. Next up, Mexalon, that was losing ground last week and is still losing ground substantially now. So last week I did say that we were still close to 70 ISK. If you wanted to still dump some of your minerals, I would still sell my Mexalon, but as the weeks go by, I think this is going to get worse and worse. So here we still have 68.5 for some of the sellers. First one at 68.25 coming in. The buyers are going down to 64 ISK. So obviously here, Mexalon under pressure from all the other high-ISK minerals. It's going to be a combination of just the general feeling that, or maybe the general demand for minerals being a bit lower due to summer activity, and of course people switching their mining activities from titanium pyrite, which is very low, to Mexalon resources. Thus increasing supply and bringing Mexalon basically in line with the other high-ISK minerals. It is finally happening. So yeah, 68.25, the first sell order coming in. New sell orders, maybe almost an entire front page. The volumes 25 to 30 million ISK. On the buyer side, we do have 100 million here, 150 million here, but that just means that people are taking their positions around 63 ISK, 62 ISK. You can see that the buyers, when it comes to the prices, are going from a range of 64 to 51 ISK here. The sellers are going from a range of 68.7 to 68.25 ISK. So the competition is happening on the seller side. The buyers here, they're trying to take their positions, trying to spot the bottoms for Mexalon already. I actually think that we could break 60 ISK on the momentum if the other high-ISK minerals continue to show low prices. Here, for instance, Isogen, 6-month low of 82 ISK and no bounce back, 20-day moving averages straight up, continuing to go down despite even higher volumes here. This is looking like continued pressure for Isogen, which I think will translate in Mexalon moving a lot lower. Isogen prices, currently sellers are trying to sell their Isogen at 81 ISK, but again they're competing with each other quite heavily. New sell orders, full front page of them, 20 million still here, 6 million still here. When it comes to the buyers, they're trying to pick it up at 77.7 ISK. That is quite low for Isogen, to be honest. And then of course you start to see some bigger volumes, but this is also probably an older order of 50 million units being bought at 77 ISK. So the buyers are calling, I think, for a bottom close to 78 ISK, something like that. But I actually don't think it's that crazy to see Isogen continue to go down, break 80 ISK without too much effort, especially considering, once again, there are some people trying to pick up some Isogen just below 78 ISK, but after that, after those few buy orders, you're going down to 65, 62, 54 ISK. So as a result, it shows the lack of demand at the moment. Most of these are just people trying to invest in these minerals at what they consider a really good price, and I would agree with them. Isogen very cheap at the moment. If you have some ISK lying around, buying Isogen below 80 ISK, which is possible at the moment with the buy orders, I think is a pretty good choice. Considering where we come from here, 100 ISK, that's an easy 20% increase in price, and I think that Isogen could actually go higher on high activity. Next up, let's touch on Noxium. 6-month low once again, actually hesitating here. 20-day moving average again cratering, now at its 6-month low point, which is actually pretty interesting. Same for Isogen, right? The previous low points were actually short-lived, pushing it back up here, but 20-day moving average here obviously at a 6-month low point. When it comes to Noxium, very similar picture. We actually went to 440 before, but now we're actually breaking that, heading for 430 ISK. So this is one indication. You have no buy orders, you have still sellers coming in with 3 million, 2 million, 5 million here, all of this in the last 24 hours. I think it's once again time to take your positions for Noxium, and the buyers are trying to pick it up below 400 ISK, which is right here on the chart. So to be honest, taking some positions in Noxium I think makes quite a bit of sense, because 400 ISK for Noxium is pretty damn low, and the 20-day moving average here extremely low as well. Maybe I should take a look at that as well. You know, Pyrite, we've been hovering here for quite a while. Titanium, 20-day moving average at a 6-point low as well. So Mexalon obviously starting to crater at the moment. Isogen extremely low 20-day moving average, and then here the Noxium also extremely low 20-day moving average. Moving on to the nullsec ones, we'll probably have a bit of a different picture. So Zydrine, after reaching almost 1000 ISK, yeah, 1020 ISK, something like that on the chart, jump back up to 1100, but is going once again to a lower point. 20-day moving average reaching its previous bottom, so this could just be bottom finding action. That is unfortunate for people that still want to buy, but you can still buy Zydrine below 1000 ISK at the moment on the buyer side, which is interesting. A million here, 3 million here, but 2.5 million, 2 million, a million here. All of this is fresh supply squashing the price. So I'm seeing a second buy opportunity form in the Zydrine market. Quite interesting, because a buy order at 990 that is not too big in volumes should get filled pretty damn quickly. 990, honestly, here on the chart, yeah, the averages. Zydrine back under pressure after bouncing back a little bit, so quite interesting. I'm seeing a second buy opportunity form here. 1089 ISK for the sellers. Where is that on the chart? Yeah, pretty much right here. So sellers are dictating the price. It could be tricky to actually pick up Zydrine close to the current buy orders, but 1000 ISK, honestly, if you look at that on the chart, I think that could be possible, and as a result, Zydrine under pressure. I'm actually again hesitating to take a second position in Zydrine. I did so on this dip. Now we see a second dip forming, and I may actually want to make a move on that, because the 20-day moving average is again at its extremely low point. If it continues to go down though, you could actually have a second opportunity, but already being able to buy Zydrine close to 1000 ISK is just a great opportunity to do so. So I'm hesitating to actually spend a bit of my ISK on this one. Next up, we've got Megasite, still slowly under pressure, but also bouncing back after going down towards 1300 ISK. So let's see what the demand is like. The demand though is cratering, it's completely gone. Look at that. 11 to 1200 ISK for the buyers, 1330 for the sellers. New sellers almost a full front page, 3 million, 1 million, 1 million. So this is obviously going to go under pressure again. The buyers are at 1200, 1185, or around here on the chart, which is quite a bit lower. So if you want some mega sites, put up some buy orders and be patient, I think is the right method at the moment. The question is going to be, will they push the 20-day moving average even lower? Will we see another leg down under pressure from Zydrine here as well? So quite interesting. The Nelsec minerals are still trying to hold on, did a bit of a bounce back, but are clearly under pressure once again. Will they be able to go even lower than before? That's what we'll need to look out for in the next few weeks. But I think taking position on the buyer side of things at the moment in small volumes, if you don't want to throw billions and billions of ISK at this market right away, I think that actually makes sense. And then finally, let's take a look at Morphite. That is also going down substantially. Very interesting. 10,000 is coming into range for the chart. 20-day moving average also slowly going down once again. So sellers, holy crap, below 10,000 ISK, buyers below 10,000 ISK. If you want a bit of a more risky investment in my book, because it is Tech 2 related and I'm not really sure about that market. So but Morphite below 10,000 ISK on a sell order here is definitely considered to be a bit of an opportunity. So I think you could make a move on this as well. Again, don't throw all your ISK at all of this just yet, because Morphite, right, you can see that the 20-day moving average is still going down, 5-day moving average going down even faster. So there is still probably room for Morphite to go even lower if supply keeps coming in and they actually push this below 10,000 ISK. Then this is going to start getting filled. You only need a few orders to go back to 9,600 ISK. That's when the real opportunity will show itself. But considering that all of these are showing the sign of pressure at the moment, I think some buy orders trying to catch up a little bit of that already on the way down would make a lot of sense. So honestly, opportunities are starting to form in the Nelsec minerals, in my opinion. Very interesting stuff, unexpected for me. Next up, Tech 1 chips. All right, 22 minutes. Let's take a look at these. I think with minerals under pressure, unless something drastic happens like right here, a volume spike of probably 5 to 6 times the amount of Armageddons being bought, causing the price to increase substantially all of a sudden. Chart up to 205 million ISK on a huge volume spike, so someone bought a lot of Armageddons. Unfortunately, right away we have some sellers coming in with fresh Armageddons going below 200 million already. So this will be a very short-lived spike. The real interesting thing is going to be the general trend, which has been down from 215 down to 190 million ISK. If this trend can actually continue after this this momentary spike due to the big purchase that happened here, then it could be interesting, because since minerals are under pressure that much, it makes sense that people are willing to bring in some new Armageddons at 200 million. They're still making ISK on that at the moment. So the pressure, let's see if it shows in other ships. In the Caracal, you can see the previous trade range was around 12 million ISK, bouncing from 11.5 to 12. Now here, bounced to 11 million and then back up to 11.5, but hesitating here already. So Caracal, the first one, selling for 11.4 million, 240 units coming in here, 10.4 for the buyers. So the Caracal obviously under pressure, I think, from the cheap minerals. At the moment, right, this is the time to build up your stocks, maybe also try to pick up some cheap minerals, build some stuff, and have that ready for later. So I'm seeing volumes down quite substantially, of course, from the war, but prices down as well. So if you're looking for some cheap stuff at the moment, it looks like this is the right time to find it. Coveter next, recovering a little bit to 32 million ISK here. Volumes pretty low at the moment, so Coveter selling for 31 million, 33 million as the next seller, and 29 million for the buyers. Very low volume of buy orders on all of these ships so far. So this does show the smaller activity, the smaller demand in these ships, thus putting them under pressure. The Dominics, this one stretch point is still annoying, and it's going to be annoying for the next 6 months. So I may actually need to switch the Dominics out for the Megatron or something at some point. But here at the end, let's maybe go for a 1 month chart. It's not very visible, but you can see from 200 million, 5-day moving average slowly going down. So I think that this is again the mineral pressure showing on the Dominix market. There's just no demand, supply is here, and as a result you're able to pick up some Dominixes at 193.5 million at the moment. Not bad. The Drake next, definitely a stranger chart to analyze, quite a bit more volatility, although it is still only from 52 to 58 million, so the range is a bit more than 10%, so definitely some volatility. I would say in the last 2 months though, volatility going down, and we're edging towards the lower end of the chart here, 53 million. So 55 million for the sellers, 51 million for the buyers. There's still demand here, so Drakes apparently are still flown, and as a result is not showing that steady decline that some of the other ships are showing, just less volatility in the price ranges, with the downside of course winning out most of the time. Next up we've got the Mahler chart. If it shows up, yes it does. Once again you are seeing in the last few months with lower mineral prices that this price is going down as well, so heading towards 11 million. 12 million for the sellers, 10.5 for the buyers. Again, very low demand, very few buy orders. Do you want to take some positions in this? You could, but I'm not sure if I would risk it. This here, the Myrmidon, the anomalous chart that I'm personally suspecting is either alliance purchases or someone trying to make this work but just not succeeding. Already back to 54 million ISK, so all of these volumes, if someone actually bought those as an investment, they made a big mistake, because fresh supply is able to plug this gap like crazy. Myrmidon's back to 55 million for the sellers, 52 million for the buyers. Decent amount of buyers. Well, honestly, for the Galantis ship, for the volatility that we've seen, pretty much full front page with 6, 9, 8, but then a lot of ones here as well. It's not that great, so low demand again, I would say, with prices here pretty low too. Next up, the Oracle, shooting up to 90 million ISK on a big volume spike. So what does happen from time to time here is that you have prices going down on very low demand, and then at some point 75 million for oracles, an alliance probably moves in and says, okay, this is pretty good, we're gonna buy an oracle fleet. That happens right here, probably 60 of them or something like that, and as a result the price shoots up on the seller side to 94 million ISK. New supply has to start competing again on the way down. Buyers though 72.6 ISK here, well, there's quite a lot of them, quite a decent amount for some oracles. So I would say some people are actually building some oracle fleets out there, and this has been a pretty big purchase, shooting the price up like that. But again, this can be plugged pretty quickly by the industrial backbone of New Eden at the moment, considering the low demand. Next up here we've got the Raven, heading for 180 million ISK. I'm seeing some relations between the Raven and the Drake chart here. You get some volatility, some crazy jumps from 175 to 200 million ISK. But here at the end again we see volatility decreasing, and the bottom of 180 seems to be where the Raven is heading. So market data please. There we go, 187 million for the sellers, 175 for the buyers, and 50 of them coming in is going to help put some stability. And here you can see sellers okay, buyers one front page. So surprisingly good for the Raven. It's an awesome PvE ship of course, but not that great either. Next up, the Retriever, going for 27 million ISK, 6-month low price point on no demand, 25.5 million. One of those lucrative or opportunistic buy orders, I should say, is actually coming into range for being fulfilled. The supply way too high, still more of them coming in here. So Retrievers buy order 26 million, something like that, probably might get filled, and is probably not bad if you look at the rest of the chart. Next up here we get the Stabber chart, again heading quite a bit lower. All of a sudden new trade range around 10 million ISK at the moment. Buyers just almost not present. Sellers not that present either of course on this low activity, so most of the action in my opinion is actually in the mineral market, where people are taking their positions, and a lot of these Tech 1 chip markets are just basically dead in volumes. Next up here, the Tornado, after a bit of a spike, going back down to 74 million ISK. So again, very low demand. If someone comes in with a bit more volume, shooting the price up, the result is that new supply comes in 12.38.11 here, bidding the price back down substantially, and we're back at 74 million for the Tornadoes. Typhoon next, the Minmatar battleship, trading for 180 after a bit of volatility right here on a big purchase, of course. So again, seeing that mineral pressure, if you take a look at the start here, slightly under pressure from the lower mineral prices. Demand not great, supply still coming in, of course, trying to sell a couple of Typhoons, but it's a tricky market to actually make a lot of money in at the moment. And then the Vexor, after some volatility together with the Myrmidon, now heading towards 12 million and probably under pressure from low demand, exactly right here. So the Tech 1 market, honestly, very low demand at the moment. If you want to make some investment here and there in Tech 1 chips, I wouldn't blame you, but I always keep in mind that the Tech 1 industrial backbone of New Eden is very capable of plugging any gap very quickly. So I still feel it's pretty risky to use the Tech 1 market as an investment. I would rather look for stuff that you know you're gonna use and lose. Of course, it makes sense to buy a set of those, right? If you like Vexors for some PvP action or something like that, and you can currently buy a couple of maybe 10, 20 of them, try and buy them at 11 million ISK. That makes absolute sense. If you want to go for some stabbers, which basically no one is buying at the moment, that makes sense. But do you want to call this an investment? I don't think so. So yeah, Tech 1 chips at the moment, I would say buy them if you plan to lose them, and stuff like the Oracle chart shows that that some alliances are doing the exact same thing. This one anomalous Myrmidon chart here, I really hope that this is not someone trying to make this work as an investment, and that this will actually have been purchased from an alliance, because that one person would be in a heap of trouble, to be honest. Next up, the Tech 2 markets, 36 minutes. Whoops, there we go. Let's take a look at this, but again, with the summer activity being on the low side, I'm not expecting a lot of volatility here, so I'm also not expecting a lot of opportunities, except maybe in the bombers. They were definitely forming last week. So Basilisk, too high to stable. Cerberus next, still at 220 million ISK, so a bit of volatility here, but you want to be close to 200 million. For purchases, so the buyers are still at 211 million, slowly going down maybe, but not the time yet. Next up here we've got the Claw, again 20 million ISK here, just too stable, too average, not too great in my opinion. Guardian again here 180 million, stable here. 130, that's a nice bottom. 180 million, no thank you. Next up the Hound, people spotted the opportunity, so the Hound did go down to 18 million, but not even seeing that much of a higher volume, we went back to 20 million. So unfortunately, your buy opportunity for stealth bombers is already over, and I didn't make any move on this one. So yeah, over, too late for me. Ishtar 220 million, slightly up as well, but you know, it's just gonna be very tricky to find a good bottom in these Tech 2 ships at the moment. This spike here probably due to the event, so the Ishtar could be something to consider if another exploration event with combat sites comes out, but who knows what CSP is going to do after Shadow of the Serpent. Manticore went as low as 22 million, slight tick up here once again, so you could still do it, I think. By, well, 21.6 million for the buy orders. In my opinion, it's too high. Close to 20 million would be better. Nemesis next, that was an opportunity that seemed to go down, but again, bounced back up to 22 million. So nope, unfortunately, not gonna invest in that. Oneros, I mean, 180 million, too high in my book. Purifier, did that one show up an opportunity? 20 million, trying to go down once again. Yes, maybe. Buyers at 18.8 million, sellers 19.7. If you want to pick up some purifiers at 19 million, honestly, I would not blame you to try and make a Tech 2 investment. But But yeah, the market is just pretty much dead in my opinion. Raptor next, 24 million is just too high, too stable, not liking this for investments. And then the Scimitar, 160 million. Nope, I need to see 140 to be able to pull the trigger on this. So yeah, the Tech2 market, unfortunately, probably due to the taxes and low summer activity, is just stabilizing in price ranges that I personally don't like, don't want to risk. So we'll have to see what more activity is going to do to the Tech2 market if volatility comes back. But at the moment, yeah, this is just not something that you want to consider for trading, in my opinion. Next up, Tech3, 3510. Okay, let's take a look at some of these destroyers here. Confessor actually shooting up a little bit. I think that was in the books for the Confessor, considering that it was at a decently low point, 44 million ISK, but it didn't have that much fresh supply last week. So as a result, people did come in with some purchases, just nothing completely out of the ordinary, but pushing the price back up to 50 million ISK. You can already see some new supply coming in. I'm suspecting that more people will start to produce Confessors, and that in the next few weeks we'll see this go down substantially on higher volumes. The Hecate at 44 million ISK, but that one was heavily supplied last week, is still being supplied a little bit, so 44 million for the Hecate. Decently low price, definitely not a 6-month low. Again, June, May was a clear bottom for Plexus, clear bottom for this stuff as well. So it may be tricky to still make investments, but you can still buy them close to 40 million ISK, which is right here on the chart. That's obviously not bad. So on the buy orders, Hecate's I think could be good. Next up, the Jackdaw. Shooting up from 38 million. It makes sense, it had to happen at some point, to 46 million, because the Jackdaw was just continuously going down to extremely low prices. Here, of course, people are starting to move on the Jackdaw market for investments. Just the sellers have been completely emptied. Buyers went up to 39 million ISK. So you can still try on the buyer side of things. But both the Jackdaw and the Confessor need to be filled up now with supply, so this is going to delay the movement a little bit. Next up, we've got the Zwepel going down from 46 million heading towards 44 million, so it's obvious. Oh my god, 120, 34, 33, 30. It's obvious that the oversupply in the last few days has been going on in the Zwepel market. I think this will cool down and will move to Jackdaw Confessor, because you have a better opportunity to sell these at a better price. But after that, in general, most of these will just get squashed pretty quickly. And then what will the new Eden's production lines do with the oversupply? I'm not sure, but they're still under pressure. I'm seeing investment opportunities, as I've said, in the long term, because we've seen this happen before. Next up here, the Legion. Holding at 155 on decently high volumes, but new supply is here, right? So you can see fresh sell orders in the last few days coming in here, pushing the price back down to 158 million ISK. So I would not be surprised that last week we saw quite a few of these cruisers move up in price. That as a result, a bit of the production from destroyers has to move to some of these cruisers, and as a result, this is going to increase the price slightly for the destroyers. But I think all in all, oversupply is still going to take over. Next up here, we get the Loki, still at 150, so not much to report here. New supply, not that much, but still 12 and 10 coming in here, 17, 29, 23, 21. It's going to take a pretty big Loki fleet to actually push this price back outside of its current range. Proteus went up last week, as you can see right here, then going back down towards 155 million. So on fresh supply, indeed, full front page of new Protea is still coming in. 88 is half a front page still left. At 85 days here, we get 30, 12, 11. So this is where the Tech3 industry has been going towards. That's the Proteus, because of the big price spike, and probably the Tengu as well. Actually, only recently doing so, went up to 170 million, going back down now. So I'm suspecting that this is going to be more than a full page. It is. So here we get all of these fresh Tengus coming in, still in the last 20. Still, oh my god, this is crazy. So we're pretty much browsing at half the range here, and we're oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, half the sell orders of the Tengus here, not necessarily in volumes, but definitely in the different sell orders, are here in the last 24 hours. So this is why you're seeing some gaps form here in the Confessor, for instance, and in the Jackdaw as well. It's because people have just been pushing out Tengus on the opportunity of selling them close to 170. But this does show the oversupply, because this is just completely crazy. In one day, people have been bringing in half the sell orders of Tengus, all of them competing with each other, bidding the price down and down and down. And it's gonna be tough to go through all of these volumes without having to switch to others, which will put the pressure back on here again. So the Tech 3 market, it's under pressure from oversupply. At the moment it's a bit in shambles because of the Tengu move and the Proteus move, but that breeds opportunities. That means that some of them may get oversupplied a little bit too much, or make it undersupplied a bit, giving you a sell opportunity. But again, it is pretty risky. I would look for buy opportunities and put up a higher horizon, maybe a nullsec war with active Tech 3 fleets and stuff like that. Yeah, oversupply, I mean, I think that this right here in the Tengu clearly shows that that it's happening. It's just that it's not uniform across all the ships. The Confessors, the Destroyers definitely switched that up a little bit, made it less easy to predict, because when we were in this situation with only the cruisers, it was just really bad for the producers. They had to go for like 120, 130. That was their trade range. So the Destroyers have managed to bring a bit of volatility, a bit more unpredictability to the Tech 3 market, but the oversupply situation is still very real. Next up, 4135. I'm going to touch on the moon materials. I don't know too much about that, but it could be interesting. So materials, let's see if I can find them here. Gas cloud, planetary components. Is it reaction materials? Raw moon materials. It's, I don't think anything that I've checked before, but why could this be interesting? Because we know that maybe I should just straight up go for the advanced moon materials, but I think because I think a lot of this is being done in-house by alliances. So we'll go for advanced moon materials on this one. Why do I think that this could be interesting? Because after the industrial arrays, and probably also after the drilling rigs that CCP is planning to bring out, at some point CCP is also planning to take a really long hard look at the moon mechanics at the moment, moon mining mechanics, and some sweeping changes maybe in the books. So it's pretty interesting, I think, to take a look at this market from time to time. So crystalline carbonite went up from 170 to 230, but now crashed back down substantially to 190. So big gains in the last few months, but having to give that back in just a few weeks here. Next up, fermionic condensates, pretty stable except for one spike, huge spike in May, which is around the expansion, the Citadel expansion. So, all right, this is a decently stable picture for something that may be under threat later on. Fernite carbide, 6-month low, higher volumes to just take some positions here, but going for around 100 ISK. The Fernite carbide. Alright, definitely different pictures between the different advanced moon materials here. This, if you want to take a gamble at a complete change in the moon mining mechanic causing complete panic and pandemonium in this market, could be something you could try to pick up a little bit. Very, very interesting. I may actually do that, just maybe 100 million or something like that, a crazy low amount of ISK, but if it could like double or triple, that would it's a huge gamble, but that could make sense. Next up we've got ferrogel, actually at a pretty high point if you look at the 6-month chart. Bit of volatility around the Citadel expansion once again, but decently stable at 30,000 ISK. So not much to say here, I would say. Fullerites, 6 month low once again, 450 ISK, 450 ISK, finding a bottom at this price range, so another buy opportunity in my opinion, very interesting. Hypersynaptic fibers, pretty much average and quite stable, except again for the Citadel expansion, possibly a bit of fallout from the war as well, this one right here. Nano transistors, bit of an increase in price in June here, up to 3,200 ISK, definitely a 50% increase in price, but having to lose or give back all of that progress in very short order, and now working on a second move back up. Quite interesting. This to me reeks of manipulation by an alliance, because doing this during summer months is pretty tricky. Non-linear metamaterials, basically again also going up on probably war volatility, going up a second time right here, crashing back down to its normal averages, so nothing too special. Phenolic composites went up from 1300 to 1900 here all of a sudden, crashing back down, volatility around the Citadel expansion, but now heading back towards a low point. So maybe on the buyer side, what are they at? 1371. Maybe you could buy some of this, but it's not outside, it's not really a 6 month low, so that's up to you to decide. I definitely prefer which was that chart here, the carbide chart here, 20-day moving average, obviously at a 6 point low and still going down, and then it was the Fullerites as well. These are like photonic materials next. Decently average. We're higher again around the war and the Citadel expansion, but had to give that back, and now trading at the normal range, I would say. Plasmonic metamaterials, pretty average, right? 10,000 ISK, bit of volatility here again with the expansion or the war. Ceramic fibers actually going up decently at a high trade range at the moment, but nothing completely crazy either. Terahertz metamaterials, quite okay, 12,000 ISK, managing to absorb a pretty big volume spike here as well. Titanium carbides trading at a low range, but not yet a 6 month low, but it's pretty obvious that it did touch that, like 130 a few times, and that people actually made investments on those opportunities. And then finally tungsten carbide, up a little bit on a big volume spike, but again trading in normal trade ranges. So quite interesting. I'm not seeing anything completely crazy in the advanced moon materials. I am seeing two investment opportunities in my opinion, Fernite carbide and the Fullerites. I think I'll just make a move on this, maybe a few 100 million ISK or something like that, and see if I can actually get some money on these on later volatility, but other than that, I'm not really seeing any signs of panic or preparation due to a possible change in the moon mining mechanics. So there you go, guys. That's what I wanted to check this week as the extra material. Thank you very much for watching Eve Talk, and I'll see you all next time.